Honestly, when this DLC was dropped, or basically was announced at the Game Awards, which I'm going to be using early footage and get into spoilers later,
Well, that
I
thought
was
was
shocked.
settling.
I wasn't
Plunged into a
expecting we were
dream.
going to get a DLC, let alone anything for this game, let alone a DLC, because of 2018 never got a DLC, and Cory Barlog made it very apparent how he feels about that type of stuff. So I was a little shocked, and when the game's DLC opens up, Kratos gets a mysterious letter. There's like going into this, there was no hardly anything besides maybe some hints at some Greek stuff. And I'm so glad I'll get into why later. They didn't reveal much because it leaves
Seem
room
anyone's
for a
here to
lot of
welcome us.
surprises later on. And I highly recommend you play this DLC. It's very good. Whether, but I'll get into some nitpicks later. It's not trash. Despite what the title says,
I
I'll
don't
get into
suppose
my
you'll take that
review
as our
part
cue to
now.
turn around and
So,
leave.
spoiler-free discussion. The changes to because of what it's what it's called, I can't
Should
remember,
be one's
and
own
also
master.
it being set in Valhalla, which was very
A more poetic
interesting.
way
I
of putting it,
like
but
it. Was
yes.
mentioned a lot, especially near the end of Ragnarok, and it being just Kratos and Mimir. They work off each other, and there's some pretty funny and cool moments where and for people like Under the Mail, that did not like Atreus, that is very much absent here. And it's kind of felt because you really don't
Allow
have
me to
like his
propose before
arrows
breaking
for
in.
crowd control and other things. So you're kind of relying on just Kratos and understanding and mastering combat, which there's not really a whole lot of changes because of it being for what it is, but you do have to rely on knowledge and the systems in place, and understanding the core mechanics of Ragnarok and 2018, and how to kill
So
certain
suppose I
things,
expect
what
a good shout out here.
strategies, and understanding things.
Curious.
When you have like certain
Seems as the way of this place
choices, when
to
you go
offer you a
from
choice.
open up a chest, like you'll be seeing on screen, you have the type of choice and understanding and kind of play into the mechanics, because if you die, you get reset, which is some games, if that's a core thing, like Returnal, I don't really like that
At least you're not
because
going in completely
you don't
humble.
really have a way to save things. Um, but with this, it's a DLC. It's set in Valhalla. It kind of works, so it makes sense. I do like some of the enemy variety, and there are some new enemies which I won't get into right now. I'll say that towards the end, and there's a lot of surprising. I will say I wish there was a point where you can show enemies that were never used, so like the drummer and stuff. But beggars can't be choosers. I will say I was expecting an Atreus DLC. I figured that's where and Santa Monica was going to go, and I was very shocked that this DLC kind of, in a way, I wouldn't say wraps up Kratos' story, but it basically, in a way,
Not
puts
permitted
him
that
in a
way, it
better
seems, and no
position
way to pry it
after
open.
Ragnarok. I think,
Well, that's the last remaining
even
bucket of
though
Asgard.
Kratos is kind
Something
of
real
more,
about it, though.
how he is after Ragnarok, I think him being, what's the word? Him kind of, the story that's presented here kind of basically connects the dots and continues his journey, where you would think that's after Ragnarok, that's where it ends. This surprisingly doesn't end it. It actually, in a way, continues it and wraps up some certain things and gets a better perspective on things, which I honestly wasn't expecting, and all that. So, kudos to Santa Monica for doing that. It really actually was surprising because I wasn't expecting it. I was expecting we'd get a Atreus focused DLC and like maybe get a hint for where he's going in the near future. But it honestly feels like, this specifically for Kratos. Like this is, continuing that his, in a way, journey without his son. And I kind of liked Atreus, so it kind of does suck that he's gone, but like it works in a way because you get a more feel of how Kratos can be even on his own. Like he doesn't need completely Atreus, and he doesn't need Freya completely. Like she actually is a part of the story, so she does make an appearance, but you don't get to really use her the way you do after the end of Ragnarok. But she does have an impact on the story. And getting a better perspective. There also is a bit of chemistry between her and Kratos, which is a little interesting, and I kind of liked it. I felt it was very interesting to see, because the first moment with Kratos kind of running into Valhalla and Mimir kind of like, he calls him out on it, like, you're avoiding her. Yeah, you would think that maybe it's because like he's afraid of, because his wife died, another wife of his died. Now, like I figured it was like Freya's, trying to get with him, but no, it's not. It's actually something more to it than I was thinking. So it's interesting in a way, without getting into too many spoilers, that they kind of pushed a boundary and did things that were a little different. And it was kind of shocking because you would think that that's where they were going, but that's not. And Freya does have a role here. She's more of a side character, but she's a partial reason for why this DLC is here. And I kind of like that. She's kind of more head, not really. She's more. She takes the place of, in a way, Atreus in a unique sense of like in the journey for Kratos, and it's very cool. And I honestly, going into the DLC, when it got to this part right here, I was thinking there was like a villain for this DLC, but really there's not really a villain per se. I think that's why, going into it, I thought maybe we're getting like a ghost of Odin, or we're getting Forseti, who was one of the many gods that was mentioned for the Norse pantheon, especially in Ragnarok, but did not make an appearance, weirdly enough. So going into this game DLC, I was kind of expecting that would be the focus. Like he lures Kratos to Valhalla, but then like in a way Kratos has to battle against his own demons, accept himself, and blah blah blah, and then have to kill Forseti at the end. but no, I was actually wrong on so many fronts. And I was glad I was wrong, because there's not really a villain here. In a way, the villain is not even, any character you expect. It's mainly about Kratos' past self is the villain, and in accepting the wrongs and demons of himself in a way. Kind of like what it was talking about with the bit of the DLC. And it's shocking, because that you would expect certain things. And Freya is very as much amazing as, like, for the few scenes she's in. She and Kratos kind of have this understanding, brothers in arms mixed with like a caring. I wouldn't say she's his wife, but like it's a wife-ish type, because she's already was one, but a warrior in her own right. And it's weird to describe where my logic is, but like she has this chemistry with him, weirdly, and it works. Maybe there might be something that might blossom there. I don't completely like the idea, but I'm also kind of like, maybe, like, so who knows. I think, warrior first for Freya, and it kind of sets the boundary that now that Odin's dead, she's like, the last thing she wants is to be tied down with somebody else. So it kind of works. And I like the changes of like it being very, I wouldn't say the format of how things has changed a little bit, which is pretty cool. You're have to figure out more of a strategy going in, and the enemies, like there's like returning enemies like the Draugr, like the some of the ones from Ragnarok, the other stuff. You do get some variations of realms, which is pretty cool. Um, and you also get some like pretty cool callbacks to the OG God of War game. I know that a lot of people, like the hardcore OG God of War people, like, you know, like, the camera, why can't they do this? They can't do that. Honestly, I don't give a shit. I don't care. It didn't bother me as much. I preferred the camera because it's. Some people say, "Oh, it's claustrophobic." I don't think so. Because I tried playing the God of War 3 on harder difficulties and tried with that camera. It like motion sickness, and it felt awful. So I prefer, and I kind of grew up with the Arkham series. So for me, I'm used to this camera. I like the camera, and it's a lot better for me than it is for some people. You know, like those other camera styles and stuff don't really work for me. They work for the older generations and stuff, but for me, not so. So going into gameplay mechanics, pretty much the same, you know, same set, you know, 3 core weapons. The difference is this time, if you go in a specific, you're going in a run, you do not have every time you go in, you lose your whatever they're called, the power moves, I guess. They're like they're like the special runic attacks, I guess. Yeah, that's what they're called. So you lose them. So anytime you die, not only do you get reset, but you have to think of a strategy and choose wisely what you're getting upgrade wise, which is pretty cool. There's some currencies that were very confusing and I didn't fully understand, so that was a little bit annoying. I will say this time around, compared to Ragnarok and the other stuff, armor is more cosmetic, so you don't really have to worry about a whole lot, if I'm being honest. You basically just get, you can choose whatever cosmetic armor, you can unlock armor sets and stuff, but really, they're not really too much. Like, I wouldn't say they're not too much. They really don't have an effect on gameplay uh, comparative to Ragnarok in 2018. The gameplay is pretty much a similar loop where you kill things, you look for a certain chest to make sure you can choose your upgrades wisely, rinse and repeat. There are some changes, like because story stuff. There are some surprises, which I don't want to get into. No, I will say one thing that some people were expecting. Surprisingly, I was hoping that he would make an appearance somehow, but he didn't. Brock, Ghost, or Sindri do not make an appearance. They're not mentioned, I don't think. From what I've played, and I've beat the story part, and there's still more to do afterwards. So I haven't done completely everything, so I still have more to do, but I thought I'd get this review out there. And I will say there's a lot that I think could have used a little bit more. I would have liked if, for people that, aren't going to be as into the combat or that are kind of rusty or just don't care enough, if they can easily go to and save point themselves or something, but it's understandable why it's not there. I also would have liked a few more extra enemies and a few extra things. The first one is, I kind of wish there was a few extra kill animations for returning enemies, which it was kind of something that was a little disappointing that they couldn't, kind of used a change of the animation from God of War 3 on a few returning enemies. I won't say which ones, but because the Cyclops was revealed in the trailer. So what I'll say is, I didn't like that with the kill animation for him, or for the Cyclops, you basically have a rehash of the troll. It's just Kratos using the axe. I would have liked if, depending on the weapon, it's a different kill animation. So if he uses the spear, he jabs it through his eye, from the side of his head through his eye, and out the other end, and then rips it back and like peels off half of his head. It would have been cool, or detonates it after jumping off or something. I would have liked that. It would have been nice. But beggars can be choosers. I do think there should have been a few extra kill animations, but other than that, it's a great DLC. Spoiler-wise, I honestly don't want to give away too much because I might do a spoiler review one as a part 2, going in and talking about things in full detail and all that. I'm not much of a reviewer, but I really love these games, so I'll leave it at this. It's a great DLC. It's amazing. It's free, so please try it. Make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. If you're new, I make videos pretty often. I do a mixture of art content, gaming shorts, gaming content, all that stuff. So if you like any of those things, I do live streams too. Make sure to stick around, and yeah. Peace out, everybody. Bye-bye.